So I hunted 15 hours in the haunted village. Some of the things I found in this hunt are pretty rare, so you're going to want to stay tuned to see them all. Oh. So a couple of weeks ago, Loomian Legacy added in this Halloween update that sort of merged with the Christmas update with the haunted village. And in this new event, they added 4 new things to hunt for: Oda Yaga, Halloween Mistlebud, Frankenstein Cryo Cub, and Skeleton Oculos, as well as a lot of old Halloween Loomians like Halloween Kabunga and all of the previous Halloween roamers. So of course, you already know I had to do some hunting in this event. So here we are today. I will say I did do this hunt during the part 1 of this event, so don't expect any zombie wobblers in this hunt, but why don't we get right into it. So my very first encounter is an Alpha Cephalops. Not just my first rare encounter, but like literally my first encounter, because I had my pity at 1 when I started this hunt. So okay, there you go. And then an Alpha Piter. Back to back with an Alpha Piter was a Metronet, and then a Frankenstein Cryo Cub, which is pretty cool. And then here is a Halloween Mistlebud, followed by another Halloween Mistlebud, and then another Cryo Cub. There we go. And then there is a Nevermare, and then an Alpha Oda Yaga. Like, we're not even 1 hour into the hunt and we got 2 Alpha Roams. Like, what in the world? And then a Metronet, followed by an Oda Yaga, and then a Mistlebud, and then our very first Halloween Oculos. Okay, these might be pretty rare in the future, so I'm happy to get these. And then a Nevermare, followed by Metronet, and then there is a Halloween Mistlebud, and then a Metronet, and then Arceros, and then an Alpha Dakota. Okay, dude, I'm getting kind of crazy with the Alpha Roams right now, and this one is not soft reset, so this is actually a pretty good encounter. Back to back with that Dakota with a Pyramind, so alright. And then a Protagon, followed by Nevermare, and then Mistlebud, and then Metronet, and then another Mistlebud, and then another Mistlebud, and there is a Nevermare, and then a Metronet. And there's lots of roamers so far, if you couldn't tell already. Like, our next encounter is Gargolem, and then Halloween Oculos, so we're probably gonna be seeing a whole lot of roamers in this hunt. And then a Mistlebud, and then Alpha Kabunga, but then a Gamma Volpop. Okay, yo, I'll take this any day. I mean, I already got one last year in my Halloween hunt, but I guess having 2 of them can't really hurt, right? And then a Nevermare, and then a Mistlebud. Wow, okay, Alpha Halloween Oculos. Oh my god, and it's red too, my favorite color. Dude, this, like, it can't get any better than this, dude. Come on, dude. And then an Oda Yaga, and then a Nevermare, and then a Duskit, but then a Corrupt Gargolem. I can't even be mad anymore since we got that Alpha Oculos, but you know, I would have taken an Alpha over this, to be honest, even though the Alpha's not even that good still, dude. But then a Metronet, and then Alpha Baroche. It is not like the first normal Alpha we've seen so far, because all the Alphas have just been roamers. Kind of strange. But then we get an Oda Yaga, and then a Mutagon, then a Metronet, and then a Mistlebud, and then a Nevermare, then Pyramind. But back to back with that Pyramind was an Ikazune. Next we got a Nevermare, and then Oda Yaga, and then Alpha Kabunga, and then a Pyramind, and then a Gargolem. Like a minute after that Gargolem, I find another Gargolem, which is funny, I suppose. And then a Pyramind, and then another Alpha Oda Yaga. Okay. Okay, I guess I'll take it. I mean, better than a normal Alpha, I suppose, but yeah, then we get a Metronet, followed by another Alpha Kabunga, and then a Halloween Oculos. Okay, hopefully I can get all the colors of Oculos before this hunt ends. We're just gonna have to see. But then we see a Mistlebud, followed by an invisible Nevermare. Oh my god, the ultra rare version. And then an Oda Yaga, back to back with that Oda Yaga with a Mistlebud, followed by another Mistlebud, and another Mistlebud, because, you know, they're less than 1 of 100, so we're gonna be seeing a lot of these. And then a Mutagon, and then our first LFH, I believe, and then a Halloween Oculos, but I accidentally killed this one. So hopefully we can find another yellow Oculos in the future so I can have all the colors. That was my bad, okay? And then Alpha Burrow, followed by a Halloween Oculos, and then an LFA, then a Gargolem, then a Metronet, then Oda Yaga, then a Gargolem, back to back with that Gargolem with an Oda Yaga. There's just so many roams, dude. Like, what do you expect me to do with all these guys? But then there's a Mistlebud, followed by Alpha Burrow, and then another Mistlebud, and then a Nevermare, then another Nevermare, then a Metronet, then Oda Yaga. Dude, these roams, dude. But then we see a Corrupt Fan Cub. It is not the first Corrupt we've seen. That is not Gargolem. I might be wrong, but I feel like it is. But we then get an Alpha Fan Cub, followed by another Alpha Fan Cub, then a Mistlebud, and then a Metronet, followed by a Pyramind, then another Pyramind, then a Mistlebud, followed by an Alpha Fan Cub, and then a Cryo Cub. You know what? I'll take these since they're not really that easy to find, so I'll catch any Cryo Cubs I find. Then there's a Mistlebud, then Oda Yaga, and then a Nevermare, followed by Mistlebud. Then we get Alpha Baroche, then Ikazune, Colbe, then Alpha Kabunga, but back to back with that Kabunga was an Odiaga. Then another Cryo Cub, alright, then a Metronet, then a Nevermare. Corrupt Kabunga is next, and then we find a Dakuda. Not Alpha, not Gamma, just regular, unfortunately. But then we get a Pyramide, then a Nevermare, then a Metronet. But back to back with that Metronet was a Halloween Arcalos. But then we find a Mythobud, followed by Alpha Fan Cub, and then Odiaga, then a Nevermare, then another Nevermare, then a Metronet, then a Mythobud, and then Odiaga, then another Odiaga. I take a Gamma Odiaga since, you know, this is the newest roamer. I take any Gamma roamer, but since this one's new, like, I wouldn't complain. And then a Mythobud, then Alpha Baroque. And then we see ourselves an Elephage, which I'd take a Gamma Elephage as well. Or a Gamma Metronet, like the normal Metronet we see on screen. I would take that as well. Like any Gamma roam, I would take. Like, it's been like nearly a year since my last Gamma roam, so I'll take another one. Then we see ourselves a Halloween Arcalos, and then a Pyramide, but then the Arceros. But this one is secret ability. So this is technically the rare thing we've seen so far, surprisingly. Even though it's not that rare since you can soft reset for it, like I'll still take it, I suppose. Maybe I'll use this for PvP. And then a Mythobud, and then Odiaga, followed by Metronet, and then Mythobud, and then a normal Arceros, not secret ability, followed by Alpha Baroque, then a Halloween Arcalos, but then Alpha Volpum, not Gamma, but we already got a Gamma one, so I can't really complain. And then a Halloween Arcalos, and then Alpha Baroque, followed by Mythobud, Protagon Gargolem, and then a Corrupt Fan Cub. We're really not seeing a whole lot of corrupts this hunt, but then we get Metronet, and then Metronet, and then Metronet, and then Elephage, actually, not Metronet, but then we get an Alpha Fan Cub, followed by Halloween Arcalos, and then Mythobud, and then Cephalops, and then a Gamma Kabunga. Dude, I feel like this is like the first Gamma that is not rare we found. This is like a important moment for us. But then we get ourselves a Fan Cub, and then Arceros, and then another Fan Cub, Alpha, of course, followed by Metronet, and then Odiaga, and then a Mythobud. Back to back with that Mythobud was a Pyramide, and then we find ourselves a Gargolem, then Pyramide, then Nevermare, then a corrupted Kabunga, then Alpha Fan Cub. We are officially 10 hours into the hunt, so let's start off our final 5 hours with a Metronet, and then a Gargolem, then a Gamma Baroque, then a Mythobud, then a Pyramide, and then another Mythobud, then another Mythobud, and then Nevermare, then corrupted Fan Cub, followed by Mythobud, and then a Gamma Fan Cub. I feel like these are kind of rare, I think. I'm not too sure, but then we find ourselves a Nevermare back to back with an Alpha Baroque, and then a Halloween Arcalos, followed by Pyramide, then Odiaga, then Cephalops, and then a Cryo Cub, okay. Then a Dakuda, then Kabunga, then Arceros, back to back with a Metronet, and then a corrupted Vari. Dude, what? Alright, man. That's free shard, but then we find a Metronet, then Odiaga, back to back with that Odiaga was a Mythobud, and then Alpha Baroque, and then Alpha Kabunga, and then Alpha Volpup again. Then we find ourselves a Metronet, then a Mythobud, and then another Cryo Cub, very nice, and then Odiaga, and then a Mythobud, then Gamma Baroque, and then another Mythobud, but back to back with a Cryo Cub. So okay, I'd like to get like an Alpha Cryo Cub or a Gamma Cryo Cub. I'm not gonna lie, like these are pretty rare, even more rare than the Arcalos. So you know, game, if you want to give me this, I wouldn't complain. Then a Metronet, and then a corrupted Piter, okay, and then another Alpha Cephalops. Like, game, really, dude. This game is just spoiling me with the Alpha Roamers. Unfortunately, most of the ones I found are soft reset, but I did also find some pretty good Alpha Roamers in this hunt as well. But yeah, then we got ourselves a normal Odiaga, followed by a Mythobud. I'd also take an Alpha or Gamma Mythobud any day as well, so don't get a twisted, game. And then a Pyramide, and then Elephage, and then Odiaga, and then a Glaciadia. We're like, what, like 12, 13 hours into the hunt, this is the first Glaciadia we found? That's kind of strange. But then we find ourselves a Mythobud, and then a corrupted Fan Cub, followed by Metronet, and Alpha Piter, then Mutagon, then Gamma Vari. Okay, I mean, I have a couple of these already, but I guess I'll take another one. But then we find ourselves a Cryo Cub, and then a Metronet, and then a Mythobud, but it didn't load at first. I thought it was Alpha, and I got kind of excited, but it was not Alpha, unfortunately. And then a Gamma Piter, okay. These are pretty rare as well. I mean, I have a lot of Gamma Piters, but, you know, I love Piters, so I'll take another Gamma any day. And then Cryo Cub, and then Gargolem, then Halloween Arcalos. Still no yellow or purple, unfortunately, but actually that might have been yellow. I didn't write down the colors, so we'll have to see. Then a corrupt Baroque, and then Mythobud, and then Alpha Baroque, and then Halloween Arcalos. I believe this one is yellow, which thank God. And then Nevermare, then another Nevermare, then Mythobud, then Gargolem, and then Duskit. With the Duskit and the Gargolem were both pretty close to pity, so that's kind of sad. But before we even got to the pity, we got Alpha Kabunga. It was like 3 away from pity, and this guy was in the way. Alright, then Mistlebud, then Mudagon, then Alpha Kabunga, then Metronet, then Mistlebud, and our final encounter is a Cryocub. Alright, dude. So yeah, guys, those are my 15 hours hunting in the Loomian Legacy Halloween event. This is definitely the longest hunt I've ever done, just because of how much stuff you can find in this event. There's just so many rare Loomians. If you guys want to know the numbers of everything I found 36 alphas, 6 of them being roamers, 7 gammas, 10 corrupts, 125 roamers, 14 pyramines, 43 Halloween Mistlebuds, 10 Frankenstein Cryocubs, and 14 skeleton Oculoses, one of them being alpha. Yeah, that's definitely a lot of stuff. If you guys are wondering why there are so many roamers I found in this hunt, that's because there are 5 different roamer encounter tables in this event. The first table being all the story roamers, the second one being specifically for Metronet, the third one being for Nevermare and Gargolem, the fourth one being for Odayaga, and the fifth one being for Skeleton Oculos. And in fact, in the part 2 update, there's even a 6th roamer table for Zombie Wobblers. Even though that one is a little bit rare than all the other roamers, that still increases the amount of roamers you can find in this event right now. It's so crazy. And the highlights of everything I found in this hunt were my Alpha Skeleton Oculos, my Gamma Vari, my secret ability Arceros, my 2 Alpha Cephalopses, my 2 Alpha Odayagas, and my Alpha Dakuda. Now, technically, the rarest thing I found in this hunt was the Gamma Vari at a 1 of 64,000 chance, but of course, that isn't the coolest thing I found in this hunt. That, of course, has to go to my red Oculos right here. It's only 1/4 as rare as the Gamma Vari, but since it's event exclusive, it's obviously a lot cooler than the Gamma Vari, since you can get that anytime. I will say I've done a little bit of hunting off camera already, even after the 15 hours of hunting, of course, since the whole part 2 came out. As you can see, I did finally get that purple Oculos, so I do have all the colors of Oculos. I did get a few zombie Wobelisks. On Gleam Boost Day, I did get 2 Alpha Mistlebuds. I got a secret ability Wobelisk. Wait, how rare is this? I don't even know. This is 1 of 131,000 chance. I didn't really think about that. I forgot that zombie Wobelisk is 4 times rarer than a normal roamer, so yeah, this thing is pretty rare, but I feel like a lot of you guys know I found this thing right here. This is a 1 of 4 million Loomian I found on Gleam Boost Day. Easily the rarest thing I found of all time, and it's probably going to stay that way for many years, probably for the rest of my Loomian Legacy career. I don't expect to get anything better than this. But yeah, I'll probably do a little bit of more hunting off camera before this event ends, and if they do end up doing a Christmas event, I'm not too sure if they will. I will do a hunting video on that, so make sure to stay tuned for that. But yeah, guys, that's about this video, so I guess I'll catch you guys later.